Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're talking about the high-stakes game of cat and mouse between the US and China in the world of artificial intelligence. The official title of the saga? China's AI ambitions and the shadow play of US sanctions. I'm Charlene Chen, and this is GeoWatch Weekly, the show that breaks down the global tech supply chain trends you can't afford to miss. We all know about the tech rivalry. The US throws up a wall of sanctions trying to slow down China's AI progress. But what's really happening behind that wall? It turns out, it's not as simple as just stopping the flow of technology. We're seeing a fascinating mix of incredible innovation and some seriously clever cloak and dagger maneuvering. Today, we're focusing on two major players, a mysterious and powerful AI model called Deepseek, and the tech giant we all know, Huawei. Their stories show two very different strategies for dealing with US pressure. Alright, let's start with Deepseek. For a while, the general feeling in the West was that China's AI models were a few years behind, but then, in early 2025, Deepseek dropped a breakthrough. White House AI czar David Sachs himself noted that the suddenly closed the gap from years to just a matter of months. That got everyone's attention. But here's where it gets intense. The US State Department is now putting Deepseek under a microscope, and the allegations are serious. First, they claim Deepseek is actively helping China's military and intelligence services. We're not just talking about an open-source tool anyone can use. The US alleges that Deepseek is sharing user info and providing specific services that go way beyond its public-facing model. And given Chinese law, which requires companies to hand over data to the government if asked, well, you can see why that's a massive red flag for Washington. But the second allegation is what really sounds like a movie plot. The US believes Deepseek has been skillfully dodging the export ban on high-end AI chips. How? By setting up so-called shell companies in Southeast Asia. The idea is that these front companies buy the restricted, high-powered chips, and then Deepseek's team in China just logs in remotely. They access the supercompute power from data centers in places like Singapore and Malaysia, completely bypassing the blockade. The chip in question is the holy grail of AI, the NVIDIA H100. Banned for export to China since 2022. Some people whisper that Deepseek might have managed to get its hands on around 50,000 of these chips through this network. Now, NVIDIA has said that Deepseek uses the H800, a different model that was legal to buy at the time, but the suspicion around the H100s remains strong. So on one hand, you have this brilliant AI that's closing the gap with the West, and on the other, you have these heavy accusations of it being a tool for state intelligence and a master of sanctions evasion. Now let's switch gears and look at Huawei. If Deepseek's strategy is evasion and stealth, Huawei's is all about brute force and building from the ground up. Huawei has been in the US crosshairs for years. They can't just go out and buy the best American chips. So what do? They build their own. Huawei's founder, Ren Zhengfei, is pretty humble about it. He admits their single-chip performance is maybe one generation behind the US, but he also revealed their secret weapon, cluster computing. Think of it this way. If you can't build one Formula One car, what if you link together hundreds of really good sports cars to create a single massively powerful engine? That's what Huawei is doing. They're taking huge numbers of their own Ascend 910C chips and wiring them together into what they call supernodes. And the results are staggering. Their new Cloud Matrix 384 supernode was recently benchmarked against NVIDIA's absolute top-of-the-line flagship, the GB200, and in several tests, the Huawei system was just as good, or in some cases, even better. According to one US research firm, the Cloud Matrix 384 delivers nearly twice the raw compute power of NVIDIA's best, with way more memory. It's an incredible feat of engineering. But there's always a trade-off, right? To get that performance, Huawei's system uses over 5 times as many individual chips, and that means it is an absolute energy monster. For the same task, the Cloud Matrix 384 consumes 4.1 times more power than the NVIDIA equivalent. The electricity bill for running this thing must be astronomical. But here's the genius part, or the scary part, depending on your perspective. China can handle that energy demand. Over the last decade, China has built an amount of new energy infrastructure, renewables, nuclear, equivalent to the entire US power grid. They have the power to fuel this brute force approach. So, US sanctions. meant to halt China's progress, have accidentally forced Huawei to create a parallel ecosystem that's perfectly optimized for China's unique industrial and energy landscape. So what does this all mean for the big picture? It's clearly US sanctions aren't a silver bullet. Instead, we're seeing this fascinating gray area emerge, especially in Southeast Asia. Think about it. It's become a common tactic for Chinese AI teams to physically fly to places like Malaysia or Singapore. They'll carry hard drives packed with 80 terabytes of data, rent out time on servers full of NVIDIA chips, and train their AI models there. It's a low-tech solution to a high-tech problem. We're even seeing new AI companies pop up in Singapore, sometimes with US funding and personnel that are difficult to trace back to their Chinese origins. It's a murky world, and right now, a lot of this activity isn't explicitly illegal. This whole situation has created a paradox. The US government is worried because it shows that China is incredibly resourceful at getting around the rules. But at the same time, some officials, like Sachs, are warning that if the US makes its rules too strict, even on its allies, it could push more countries towards Huawei and China's growing tech stack, creating a massive global opportunity for the very companies they're trying to contain. So to wrap it all up, we have two fascinating case studies. You have Deepseek, playing a game of shadows, allegedly smuggling chips and working in the dark to keep up. And then you have Huawei, playing a game of pure power, building a massive, energy-hungry but incredibly potent system right out in the open. This isn't just a story about who has the best chip. It's a story about strategy, adaptation, and unintended consequences. The tech war is forcing a new kind of evolution, creating a parallel AI universe with its own rules, its own strengths, and its own weaknesses. The Great Wall of Sanctions is a lot more porous than it looks, and what's happening in the shadows will define the future of technology for all of us. What do you guys think? Is Huawei's brute force method sustainable in the long run? And what should the US do about this gray area of compute power in Southeast Asia? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. As always, thank you for listening. If you find our insights useful, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. And for those of you who need the full deep dive industry intelligence behind these trends, you can become a Digitimes member at digitimes.com. This has been GeoWatch Weekly. I'll see you in the next one.